A DNA test came back. 0.00% probability of paternity. The husband believed it. The family believed it. The internet believed it. And an innocent woman woke up one morning while already convicted. This is the story of what happens when people are so certain they are right that they never once consider being wrong. Stay with me, because the truth in this story is stranger than anything you will expect. The perfect family Adais and Emeka Okafor were the couple everyone wanted to be. 12 years of marriage, 3 children, a beautiful home in Lekki, Lagos. Emeka was a successful architect, the kind of man who built skylines for other people while quietly building a life for his own family. Adaizi ran a catering business that smelled like joy, like pepper soup on a cold Harmattan evening, like celebration, like home. People called them couple goals, and they meant every word. But the most beautiful thing about their marriage was not the house. It was not the money. It was not the Instagram photos that made strangers stop scrolling and sigh. It was their son, Tobena, 8 years old, with the brightest smile you have ever seen on a child. Emeka called him his twin because the boy looked so much like his father it was almost funny. Same jaw, same forehead, same way of tilting his head when he was deep in thought, like the world owed him a better answer and he was patiently waiting for it. Their daughters, Chisholm and little Amara, were clearly their mothers. Everyone said so the moment they saw them. But Tobena was his father's son, at least. That is what everyone believed. The letter. It arrived on a Tuesday. A plain white envelope, no return address. The kind of thing you almost throw away without opening. The kind of thing that looks like nothing until it becomes everything. Emeka was still in his driveway when he tore it open. Inside was a single printed page. It said, "Ask your wife about the medical conference in Abuja. November 2015. Ask her about Dr. Suna Adeyemi. Then look at your son's face and ask yourself, whose eyes are those really?" No signature. Emeka stood in that driveway for 11 minutes. His neighbor waved at him from across the fence. He did not wave back. He folded the paper, put it in his breast pocket, walked inside, kissed his wife on the cheek, ate dinner with his family, helped Tobena with his homework, and said nothing. But something behind his eyes had gone very, very dark. The seed of doubt, he tried to forget it. He told himself it was a lie. Someone trying to destroy what he and Adaz had built. He almost convinced himself. Almost. But the human mind is a cruel place when suspicion moves in and decides to stay. It does not knock. It does not ask permission. It simply unpacks its bags and starts rearranging your memories. He started noticing things he had never noticed before. The way Tobena's nose was slightly different from his daughter's. The way the boy's skin tone was a shade lighter. He found himself staring at his own son during breakfast, calculating, measuring, comparing, and then hating himself for calculating. He went through her old phone. He found a contact, saved as catering supplier Sun. The name in the letter was Dr. Suna Adeyemi. His chest cracked open. He did not confront her, not yet. He did something worse. He ordered a home DNA test kit, online, quietly. He waited for Tobena to fall asleep. He stood over his son's bed in the dark. This boy who called him daddy without thinking twice. This boy whose face he had memorized the night he was born. And he swabbed his cheek. He sealed the envelope, put it in his work bag. went back to bed beside his wife. She was sleeping peacefully, her face soft, trusting, completely unaware. He lay there staring at the ceiling and waited for the morning. The results came back in 10 days. 10 days of normal breakfast, 10 days of helping with homework, 10 days of kissing his wife goodnight, 10 days of smiling at a family he was already quietly burying. The email arrived on a Thursday morning. He opened it alone in his car. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. He read it 3 times, as if the number might change. It did not. This man who had built skyscrapers, this man who had never cried at a single funeral, sat on the floor of his car and wept. And then he called his brother. The storm Chukwudi was not a bad man. He was simply the wrong man to tell a secret to. Within 48 hours, Emeka's mother knew. Within 72 hours, 2 aunties, 3 cousins. Within a week, Adisi's own sister was calling her, asking, "Ada, what is happening? People are saying things." Adisi did not know what she was being accused of. She did not know about the letter. She did not know about the DNA test. She did not know that her marriage was already on trial, and she had not even been told she was a defendant. The family meeting was called on a Saturday. Adisi was told it was a family lunch. It was not a family lunch. She walked in wearing a yellow dress. She had even brought food, jollof rice, fried plantain, enough for everyone. She set it on the kitchen counter, walked into the living room, and the room went silent. Not the comfortable silence of family, the other kind. They were all there. People who had danced at her wedding, people she had cooked for at Christmas, and in the center of the table, a printed piece of paper, face down. Emeka stood up. He could not look at her directly. He slid the paper across the table, face up, and said 4 words. "Is he my son?" Adise looked at the paper. She read it. She read it again. And then she laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the absurdity of it, the humiliation of it, the fact that she was sitting in a room full of people who had already decided, broke something inside her that could only come out as a laugh. She looked at her husband, then she looked at the room and said 3 words. "Get out." Emeka said, "This is my mother's house." Adise stood up, picked up her handbag, and said, "Then I will leave." She saved her tears for the car park, and while she sat in that car park, Chukwudi's wife had already told a friend, and Adesi's name was already on the internet. Not her side of the story, just her name, and the verdict. Her catering business page was flooded with comments. Her clients started canceling orders. Her daughters came home from school crying, and Tobena heard a classmate say, "Your father said you are not his real son." The boy stopped eating properly. He started wetting the bed again, like he was 4 years old. Every night Adise held him and told him, "You are loved, you are wanted. Nothing will ever change that." She said it every night, even on the nights she barely believed anything herself. What Adise knew, but here's what nobody bothered to ask. In all that noise, in all those judgments, nobody asked Adise what she knew. So let me tell you, it was 2014. Emeka was in a car accident, minor, everyone said. He was fine, everyone said. But he had received a blood transfusion, 2 units of blood, and Adise had been the one to sign the hospital forms. She had been the one to stay awake for 36 hours straight, sitting in a plastic chair, drinking bad vending machine coffee, watching her husband breathe. After the accident, when they struggled to conceive for almost a year, Their doctor had mentioned something, almost in passing. He said certain medical events, transfusions, specific medications, certain viral infections could occasionally cause something called chimerism. Chimerism, a rare condition where a person's body carries two different sets of DNA, two, in the same body, at the same time, and in some cases, the DNA in the saliva or the cheek swab is completely different from the DNA in the blood. The home DNA test used a cheek swab, not blood. The test was not lying, but it was not telling the whole truth either, and half a truth, in the hands of people not looking for nuance, is more dangerous than a lie. Adiz went back to that doctor, alone, quietly, without telling a single soul. She explained everything. The doctor listened without interrupting, and when she finished, he asked one question. Did they test his blood? No, she said, just the mouth swab. The doctor closed his eyes, then said, Adizi, I need to make some calls. A proper clinical DNA test was ordered, blood samples, both Emeka and Tobena, done at a certified laboratory, witnessed, documented, unimpeachable. Adiz sent a message to Emeka through his brother, the same brother who had burned her name across the family. She said, tell him to come and do a blood test, a real one. Then he can keep judging me. Emeka almost did not go. His mother said, do not let her manipulate you. Chukwudi said she is buying time. But something, maybe guilt, maybe the ghost of 12 years, made him show up. The results took 14 days. 14 days of Adiz saying nothing publicly. 14 days of holding Tobena at night. 14 days of being guilty in everyone's eye but her own. The result came back. The genetic counselor looked at Emeka and said, probability of paternity, 99.998%. Tobena was his son, had always been his, not metaphorically, not legally, biologically, in his blood, which is where it counted. Tobena Okafor was Emeka's child. Emeka drove home, except it was not his home anymore. He sat outside in his car for 2 hours. He had destroyed his wife. He had let his family destroy her. He had let the internet destroy her. He had looked at his son and doubted him. And Adiz had known all along, but instead of being given a chance to speak, she had been put on trial. The apology that wasn't enough, Emeka came to her 3 days later. He came with flowers, yellow ones. Adiz looked at those flowers the way you look at something that is trying very hard to mean more than it does. He said he was sorry. He said all the right things, in exactly the right order. And when he was done, Adiz said something that broke him more completely than the DNA result had ever broken her. She said, what hurts me is not that you doubted me. Doubt is human. What hurts me is how quickly you believed the worst. How fast you went to your brother before you came to me. How you sat across a table from me in your mother's house with a crowd of witnesses like I was a criminal. 12 years. And that is how much my word was worth to you. She was not shouting. She was not crying. She was just telling the truth. Then she told him about Tobena. She said, your son asked me last week if Daddy doesn't love him anymore. He is 8 years old. He asked me that. Then she said, I don't hate you. I don't even hate your family, but I need you to understand something. An apology is not a restoration. You can be sorry, and I can forgive you, and things can still be permanently changed. Do you understand that? He nodded. Because what else could he do? Amika's family issued what his mother called an apology. It mostly consisted of saying, "We were only trying to protect our son, and these things happen." Adai smiled, said thank you, and quietly reduced the amount of herself she gave to that family. From that day forward, not dramatically, not loudly, just quietly, the way a woman who has learned a lesson adjusts without announcing it, the internet moved on, the way the internet always does. Her catering business came back slowly, old clients returned, new ones came. Her name healed, not completely, the way scar tissue never completely disappears, but enough. They did not divorce, but they did not simply go back to normal either, because normal no longer existed. They went to counseling. They had hard conversations that lasted past midnight. Some nights were tender, some nights were icy. They were two people slowly, painfully, honestly rebuilding something that had been knocked completely down. Tabena started eating properly again, the day his father crouched down to his level in the car park at football practice and said, "You are my son. That is the only truth that matters. I am sorry it took me time to fight for that the way I should have." Tabena looked at his father for a long moment and then said, "Okay, Daddy, can we go practice now?" Children, Adiz always said, children are wiser than we deserve. The letter was never traced. Idaize never found out who sent it. She decided eventually that it did not matter, because the letter did not destroy her marriage. The letter was just a match. What destroyed her marriage was what the people who claimed to love her chose to do with it, and she had her answer. This has been The Blood That Binds, a story about love and what happens to it when doubt moves in faster than loyalty. A story about truth and how much damage gets done in the time it takes to arrive. And a story about a woman who never stopped knowing who she was, even when everyone around her forgot.